Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Alex here. We have an amazing reaction here on the channel because you guys asked this a lot, and I'm talking about March of Valiant. I hope I pronounced it right. And after I did those two documentaries about what happened in the Philippines with the war, with the Korean War, it was mind-blowing for me. And you guys helped me in the comments, just wanted to know more, because if you're new on the channel and don't know how much I enjoy Philippines and I am attached, you should watch some other videos. I'm gonna leave those cards at the end if you want to go and check those out. And let's go and see this. Like the video, subscribe, of course, share it for more people to know about this amazing country with this amazing history. That being said, let's hit it. Oh, what's that? To the memory of our PEFTOK veterans and those who never came back. We dedicate this documentary to future generations so they may never forget the best, the truest, and the noblest Filipinos in Korean War. Wow, beautiful. Valor can be aroused only by a righteous cause. The original link, by the way, you can find it down below. Man. Wow, with this song, it's even told. $135,000. Jesus, man. Guys.
When the Korean War broke out in 1950, immediately the Philippine government, under the leadership of President Elpidio Quirino, offered to support.
Although at that time, we still are recovering from the damage of World War II.
They said we have to sacrifice to fulfill the commitment of our country to help a member nation in need.
And he says the price of freedom was something that we fought for with our blood, and we were going to do it again.
Authorized under an act of Congress, Republic Act 573, which was passed in early September 1950. It provided the legal authority
So there were 5
for a total
battalions.
of 5 different Philippine Battalion Combat Teams, or PEFTOK battalions, to help defend the beleaguered South Koreans.
Philippines sent 5 battalion combat teams to Korea with a total strength of 7,420 officers and men.
And it was only through the idea of President Quirino that we volunteered. We were never forced.
I was young and we were trained, so we were prepared. No second thoughts.
And since we had all volunteered, we were a very happy bunch.
Guys, sorry to stop for 1 second. I have goosebumps, like, I swear to God. Being able to see these people who were there and did this amazing thing, historical, epic, I don't even know how to say it. Watching them and hear them, it's just mind-blowing.
Of the fact that we anticipated hardships and deathly threats on the Korean front line.
At Tucson, still another nation joins the growing UN command as 1,200 men of a crack Philippine regimental combat team come ashore.
Man, how much courage. Wow. Man, total destruction.
Well, when you arrive at Korea, about 5/6 of South Korea was occupied by the North Koreans. Only 1/6 was occupied by the Allied forces then.
And we arrived there in Busan. I saw Korea badly beaten, ruins.
Then the civilians were bringing their packs, moving. You could see movement all around, back and forth, because everybody didn't know where to go. Children crying, and most of the children were very skinny.
All in tattered clothes, hungry, begging for food.
We sympathize with them because we already suffered the same consequences during World War II when the Japanese started bombing our areas.
We give them food. But I was their parents will come rushing towards us also and begging for food.
The whole people there talagang they're starving.
Very sad plight.
Very destructive ang communism. That's why we were expecting na talagang we are facing trouble. Then from there, we were transferred to Sariwon. Now that's the first time we noticed the cold. That was the coldest time during 100 years.
15 degrees below zero, man.
15 degrees below zero.
Without food
That was in 11 November when we started the first patrol between Myeodong up to Shinji. I was leading the group because I was with the tanks. But the farther is there were 3 jeeps. Now we reinforce them. Then followed by 2 companies, the Able and Baker companies. Then before we have to cross the hill, which was dividing the area between towns, we have to cross a bend. Now in that bend, farther, there was 45 area by the North Koreans. Suppose this is a hill. There are 4 lines of trenches. So when we were able to clear that area, they started firing at us. It was so surprising that talagang everybody cannot move because I am with the tank. Doon ko silalim. Sa tank, mayroong periscope. I tried to look. Nakita ko, nobody was moving because talagang fighting at that area. Pati yung tangke ko na pasob-sob doon sa ang ginawa ko, pinataas ko. Pagtaas ko, nakita ko yung mga North Korean troops. They were already talking of maybe attacking. As a soldier, the first thing is safety. And instead of defending yourself, you attack. That's your reaction. You have to kill to live.
What the fuck?
Paglabas ko sa tangke, hindi there's
And he starts shooting.
si machine gun. Yung machine gun, sa ingay lang, na-demoralize kayo. Ang lakas tuk. Ang ginawa ko, isa kundugan yun. Naktakbuhan. Yung nagtubatakbo, tinitira ko. Hanggang to the point na all of them were nailed down.
And that takes balls.
Nag-attack. Ang dami nila, tumatira sa akin. Wala nakatama. It was God-sent fortune. Ngayon, after that, nung nahupa niya, about mga 30 minutes, there were about 42 dead at saka about 100 wounded. Ngayon, yung Amerikano, kinakongratulate ako because of that. Then after that, we proceeded to Shinji.
Immediately after the Battle of Myeodong, winter had already set in. The problem was that their uniforms that were issued to them earlier on were not sufficient. Colonel Soren, here's his leadership. Sabi na, until such time
fight the enemy,
has
yes.
this necessary equipment to fight the enemy, we will not move. Well, he was relieved and Colonel Ojeda took over. It was a very sad thing.
Pagkatapos niyan, come April na, pumunta kami sa farther north. Now, there was a report that they are going to attack the UN troops. Yun doon naman sa Yuldong.
Just then, the Chinese and the Koreans were inaugurating the first phase of what they called Chinese.
Man, how many
Spring
they were
Offensive.
there?
Ang nangyari sa Yuldong, ang 10 city nandito,
To the right of the Bay City were the Turks, and to the left of them were the Puerto Ricans. There were now imminent signs that they were being attacked by the communists in mass. What the Chinese did was they massed their forces in the center, penetration,
dito nang atake sa atin.
and then less strong forces on the side. There were Chinese who were able to penetrate the ranks of the...
Yeah, they left their post and then they were surrounded, like I saw in the first documentary.
Similarly, the Puerto Ricans on the left also did the same. They gave way.
Kaya
Jesus.
nakapasok sila dito sa amin, na-encircle kami.
Here come now the 10th BCT holding onto their line. Using the bayonet, hand to hand. Use of hand grenades and so on and so forth. Kulang lang siguro, duraan na lang. According to Voltaire, God is always on the side of the greater battalion. How can you face your only 700 when the Koreans and the Chinese had about 700,000?
Luckily, we were able to hold on.
According to the testimony of the defenders, piles of dead were there. Piles of dead.
Doon yung namatay yung si Captain Yak at saka si Lieutenant Artiaga, yung dalawang yun ang hero.
Man.
I was assigned as the reconnaissance platoon leader of the reconnaissance company of the 20th Battalion Combat Team PEFTOK, then under Colonel Salvador Absede. Being volunteers, we were rushed to the front lines in Korea. We took a railroad that took us to north of Seoul, the capital of South Korea, and passed beyond the 38th parallel, where the rear echelon of the 20th Battalion Combat Team, PEFTOK, was stationed. And after spending overnight there, we were taken to our frontline positions, north of the 38th parallel, in the vicinity of the city of Chorwon, which is already
This is
part of
something
North
I
Korea.
never saw anything like this till now.
During the third week of May, our battalion decided that it is now or never. And I was picked by the battalion commander to lead the assault. And this is how I myself got into the big battle for Hill Erie. And
45
I was
men.
assigned to do this with my
Jesus.
platoon of about 40-45 men. We started the approach to the enemy fortifications at about maybe 4 o'clock in the morning. And in May, in North Korea, 4 in the morning is still very dark and very cold. When we got to no man's land, after a truck ride of about 30 minutes, we had to creep and crawl. For most of that period within no man's land, we had to prod with our bayonets on whether there are mines planted with tripwires in the rice fields. It was very dangerous. After about 2 hours of creeping and crawling, we saw really more clearly the enemy fortifications, which were our targets. We informed headquarters that we're here already in the assault line, we called it, ready to jump off towards the hill, but give us first the...
Okay, before this attack had place, you know, just want to say one thing. You guys, these people over there that are still alive are, I want to call them national treasures. And not only heroes. The story, it's so intense, and it's not a movie. This is real. And you know, that courage that they had, being there, not only in the cold, without, without any safety. 45 men over there, and that's it. And then going back a little bit to the documentary when there were the Turks and the Puerto Ricans, and they just left. Man, I mean, you're watching at your left, at your right, and you're saying, what the hell are you doing? Keep your positions. And the Filipinos stood there. And such a big respect. Wow.
Preparatory fires that we had planned. And these were from the fighter planes of the supporting American forces that dropped napalm bombs along the target area. In the meantime, we were advancing up the hill. But when the napalm bombs were falling too closely to us and endangered our troops, I called headquarters to cease fire on that and then bring in the artillery. Which was behind us, and with the forward observer, Lieutenant Cosme Acosta. He did a good job of bringing in our artillery to bear upon the target area. And we continued advancing upward. When we were too close to the enemy positions, we called for ceasefire
what
of the
strategy!
artillery. But we asked for tank direct fire. From our supporting forces in the back. And so the tanks being able to fire directly at the target, almost in a straight line, started firing. As the tanks were firing, we continued to advance to very near the top of the enemy fortifications. And when it was time to do it, I said, lift the tank fires, we're going to attack.
Fuck.
We identified the bunkers and the foxholes of the enemy one by one, and we attacked them with rifle fire, with bayonets, and in some cases with demolitions. The hand-to-hand combat lasted for about 30 to 45 minutes until I determined that the enemy resistance had died down. And
Great
I
job,
started
man.
accounting for my men, and I found out that they were all present, accounted for, except for one or two that were wounded. I was very proud of the fact that we accomplished our mission. Well, of course, personally, I was very thankful to the good Lord for saving the troops. And then the 19th BCT came in.
Basically, with the turnover from 28th BCT, turned over to us.
My dad was fascinated by flying, first of all. That was his hobby. And when he saw that many soldiers were being sent to the front, he came to my grandfather, then President Quirino, and said, Papa, I want to go to war. And my grandfather looked at him and says, well, if you go to war, then my son has to go with you.
Dad used to say, when Lolo told me that I had to serve in the Korean War, of course I feared. I feared for my life. I didn't want my children to be fatherless. So that was my greatest fear. But the love for my father and my sense of duty to him as his son overtook any fears that I had. And so I said, yes, Papa, I will do it.
So that was the story of
Join the
both
war.
First Lieutenant Tomas Quirino and Luis Chito Gonzalez joined the war.
It was just like Quirino to send his only son at that time and his only son-in-law to the war.
That's
Because when he
love
said
for
the
your
Philippines
country.
goes to war, he'll send his own family first.
Luis Rosales, yung asawa ni Ma'am Pinky Quirino, pilot namang PEFTOK yun eh. Asawa namin.
He was a spotter pilot. He would go on this small plane at very high altitude and look for the enemy and relay the information back to the base so that they could either fire artillery or have other planes with armament go there, because his plane had no armament at all.
Dad was assigned to desk duties in the beginning.
Signal siya eh. He makes sure that all communication to the line to everyone has to be connected, that they properly connected, can be contacted anytime. Because you don't go to combat without communication. Signal is very good.
Because at this time he was married to the first lady of the Philippines, my mother, no? So siguro they wanted to give him some type of preferential treatment, and he didn't like that at all. So he wrote to them and he said for them to please give him combat missions.
My mother even said to me that your father, quote unquote,
And respect,
would
of course.
do anything to measure up in the eyes of his father in the sense of esteem and respect. So he kept telling their officer, I want to see action. I want to see action.
The 10th of June, we were shipped to Line Jamestown. And that's about 3 miles long stretch of defense of the United Forces. And in 5 days, we were sent to the T-Bone Hills, that is Hill 191, and hit Erie towards the stem of the boat.
4-day battle.
The 1 regiment of Chinese are there, and we had a 4 days battle with the combination. Oh, terrible, terrible. You can just imagine artillery bomb dropping just in front of you, a few yards away, and then you're in the height of battle. If this is the hill that we occupied, the enemy was already crawling up, and our firearms hindi na sila buputok. Parado na, ano? My company commander was requesting for fire in position. Ibig sabihin, dito sa lugar namin, bombahin nyo na. But my battalion commander didn't approve it. Dito rin, pinabagsak na ikit. And at the end of the battle, after 4 days, there was a recording
By
from the
artillery
Philippine
alone.
division that no less than 500 enemy Chinese soldiers were killed by our artillery alone. That's aside from those who we encountered, yung umakyat sa aming hill, na napatay namin doon na marami. They suffered a lot. We were about to leave, to be relieved by the 14th BGD. And 3 days before, we sent a patrol between our line and the enemy. The squad leader told me, Sarge, iwanan ko muna sa iyo yung pera ko, ha? Baka mamaya kung ano mangyari sa akin doon. Eh, na-capture siya. The sergeant there is from Manila City. And I was personally responsible in bringing him there to my unit. So, I grieved so much about it.
Well, that's their fortune. Alam mo, pati sa akin, is just luck eh. I never thought with people,
Luck,
how many
God.
thousands there firing at me, hindi ako tinaman. It's a question of luck eh.
Tawagin natin silang marangal, matatag, bayani, masigasig ng mga Pilipino.
My mother was totally worried. She kept writing to my father, "Come home soon. I miss you, sweetheart." She would apologize. "I am so sorry to keep bothering you, but I haven't heard from you all this time."
And the stories of my mom, on the other hand, she showed me some of the love letters of Dad to her. He was pretty romantic. He said he missed the family, he wanted to be home. It must have been quite challenging for him.
I remember him saying it was the worst time of my life. It was freezing. We were freezing. The biggest enemy that they had was the weather, actually, and homesick.
Dad never left behind any memoirs. But he did send letters to my mom telling her that finally he got his wish and that he's pretty happy that he came home alive from the experience.
I was initially assigned to the 7th Battalion Combat Team of Colonel Napoleon D. Valeriano of the Ninita
And
Unit.
this is,
Then,
I don't have any
here,
words.
I was given orders to join the 14th BCT. When we left, the President Quirino sent us off. He was at the pier.
And he told them, just before they left for Korea, and I will quote, "I sent ahead of you my only son and my son-in-law to offer their blood in the defense of democracy. Thus, my pride will be that with my own flesh and blood, I shall have part in your coming struggle and victory for the honor and prestige of our country." Unquote. That is what he said.
We relieved the 19th at Pike Jackson under the Chestnut Orchard. Then we were moved to Christmas Hill. That was our last battle. We replaced an American battalion who suffered a lot of casualties. So almost wiped out the one battalion of the 45th Division. To replace them, we have to climb up the hills.
Man.
And then when we went up that hill, sometimes you vomit the smell of flesh decaying. Kung dadaanan mo, mga patay, minsan 5 level yung patong. Well, you get used to it. We captured the Christmas Hill. Then the Chinese attempted several times to recover the hill. They throw in battalions after battalions to try to inflict as much casualties. They throw in practically everything. Parang ubusin na yung bala. It's like New Year. When you fight back in that war, you have everything you need. Artillery fire support, tank support, aircraft. You can ask for any fire support. We held on to the Christmas Hill up to the time the truce was implemented. Took effect 10 in the evening, ceasefire.
So going home, of
We were
course.
silent, and then everybody was out thinking about going home, and then be thankful that you are alive and kicking, so it makes you feel good.
When I went to Korea, there was already a truce, but everything was still on a war footing. There was the main battle position, the demarcation line between the two Koreas, which both sides guarded. The North Koreans guarded the north side, we did the south side. On the lines, your duty there would be to look through binoculars and you monitor the movement of the enemy on the other side. When the armed forces decided that there was no longer need for the BCT in Korea, the orders were for the BCT to come home. But on the last minute, they said a contingent of 1 officer and 10 enlisted men must stay behind, and I was the one chosen. So because of that, while the rest of the battalion went home, I was there for another additional 1 month and a half. Our contingent was myself, only 1 officer and 10 enlisted men. And we spent the last day more or less turning on equipment, so we were in fatigues and we were not really in very clean state. While we were waiting for our plane to Tokyo, all of a sudden, here was a major with all of the guy ropes asking, where's the officer of the departing Philippine contingent? I said, I'm the officer. I said, can you get your men ready? Because there are 3 generals who are coming to see you off. And sure enough, to send off a second lieutenant and 10 enlisted men. They came with stars and stripes coverings.
Yeah.
And that, I think, shows more or less the spirit of democracy that prevailed in that UN organization, where notwithstanding your nationality, notwithstanding your rank, as a group, you are considered a Philippine contingent and therefore entitled to the honors of arrival or send-off.
I don't know if you knew about this story. Some of you, of course, do because you guys sent it me down in the comments to see. But for those people that didn't knew about this and watching your how brave your country was and those people from the Philippines, what they did, it's impossible not to feel proud. I feel proud. I'm not a Filipino, but I do feel like that. I don't know what to say, guys. This is gold. Thank you for the channel who made this possible. It's down below in the description. A documentary, amazingly well done.
Captain, or my spirit of patriotism was really enhanced. What an experience! To
Exactly what I was saying.
That. It is something that I can be proud of, that my family can be proud of.
Being part of PEFTOK was one of Daddy's favorite episodes of his life. When he was diagnosed with cancer, the last trip he took was to Korea. He wanted to go back to
the thing that
Philippine
divides the
parallel
two
to
countries.
just to go back and rekindle those memories. For me, that told me a lot about what he felt about being in the Korean War.
Yung kabayanihan, kagitingan at katapangan ng mga Pilipino na sumabak sa Korea ay dapat mabigyan ng alaala.
It is a moment of remembrance, but it is also a moment of extreme pride that our fathers and my grandfather saw it fit to be part of the democratic principles of freedom, that we did what it took to keep our cherished democracy. And to all the soldiers that fought hand in hand, side by side, heroes of the PEFTOK, I salute you all. May the youth, like we do now, and hopefully generations to come, may they never forget the freedoms that were purchased with your blood and your sacrifice.
This is the lesson of World War II and the Korean War, and the Vietnam War also after the Korean War, to all of us. And some of us not only suffered from all of this, but some old warriors like were there. But we were happy to do our little humble participation in all of that.
Okay, guys, it was something outstanding. I got emotional a little bit here at the end. You know, for all of those people and these people that are still alive and those that know about this and fought there, you have my whole respect, even if I'm a nobody. But I salute you all with a lot of gratitude, and I'm grateful. And I'm sorry that, you know, nowadays there are not that many people like you guys out there. So again, I don't think there are many words to say. It's at least for me, I'm nobody, like I was saying, humble, and seeing these heroes, you just have to watch and admire. This is it. I hope you enjoy it. And again, the original link down below in the description. This was amazing. It was beautiful. And especially that, you know, to understand more about Philippines and everything. And maybe a lot of you out there didn't know about this. And I don't know, let me know your thoughts down below, please. This video deserves a lot of comments. Just a message of respect for those people over there. It will be really, really welcome from the bottom of my heart. Again, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. And this time I'm going to end this video differently. I'm going to salute you like this.